Today on Locked On Red Wings, Detroit snaps their three-game losing streak with what might be the most dominating win they've had all season.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. Scotty's host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a freelance journalist for the Detroit News, while I am a color commentator for Oakland University, ACHA D1 Men's Hockey. And Scotty, we had probably the most exciting game the Red Wings have played all season long in terms of just pure domination. And I mean, that's probably where we should just start, right? Is dive into our first thoughts on about how incredible this win was and how well-timed this win was. But first, I got to tell everyone, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Scotty, that win today, hi, by the way, that win today against the Montreal Canadiens was probably, and recency bias is a thing. So if someone in the comments, and it would have had to been during the 7-game winning streak, any other game that would have been more dominating. But by all accounts, by my account, this is the most dominating win the Red Wings have played in all season. They had a season high 45 shots. Their power play went 1 for 4. Their penalty kill went 3 for 3. They were clicking on all cylinders. And the only period you could say the Canadiens were quote-unquote, the better team is the third period, but that was 100% because the Red Wings were playing to defend the lead and the Canadiens were pushing to try and close it. The Red Wings, that was just, the execution of this game from start to finish was, bar none, in my opinion, better than any game they've played yet this season. Against an important game, too, and a team that you're chasing the wild card.
Right, that's the thing. Like, if you would have told us going into the year, right, if you would have told us in August, like, hey, you're going to have a game in January against the Habs and you're going to absolutely dominate them, we'd be like, all right, like, that's good. We should probably do that. The Wings are the better team and whatnot. But the Habs are having a really good year. As we talked about yesterday, they're over 500. And if the season ended before this game, they would have been wild card 2. I'm not sure how the rest of the evening is going to play out and if they're going to fall or move at all. But it's a really important game, as you said. Interdivision at home. You've lost to this team twice already this year. You really needed 2 points here, and they came out and absolutely blew the doors off of Montreal. I mean, genuinely domination from puck drop till the end of the game. It was one of the best performances from the Wings all year, and it was not against those Habs that we thought that it was not against the version of the Habs we thought they were going to be in the preseason. This is against a team that now, around the midway point in the season is over 500 and in the playoffs. And so that was a really, really important game, like you said, but domination, man, like legitimately from puck drop till the final horn.
Right, and I said the third period, the Canadiens were pushing a little bit. I mean, even with that, they still ended up with the same amount of shots at 5-on-5 in the third. The Red Wings at 5-on-5 had 64% of the expected goals, and they had 56% of the shot attempts. So even though that was the best period by the Canadiens standard, it was still a period in which the Red Wings were analytically the better team and getting the better chances. I mean, again, it wasn't perfect. I think they still gave up too many grade A opportunities. They got a little too lackadaisical in the defensive zone a couple times, and it came back to bite them, or nearly came back to bite them. Cam Talbot made some very timely saves. But, that's just critiques at this point, nitpicking with how this game went, because everything went the Red Wings' way. And, one of the things we just talked about 2 days ago, and we talked about after the weekend, was how the Red Wings could not get to the high danger areas and score goals, and they were giving up too many high danger areas. Well, today that wasn't necessarily the case. They still gave up quite a few high danger opportunities in their own slot, but they were doing a better job of mitigating that, and they were just getting to the slot time and time again. And they were getting behind the Canadiens' defense time and time again. They looked dangerous. Their passing looked crisp. A team that was trying hard but wasn't necessarily clicking in the last 3 games. This looked like the team we saw the first 7 games with Todd McClellan. Like, this looked like a completely different version of the Detroit Red Wings in that everything just seemed to click. And it was fun. It was just straight up fun, and now they're only 3 points back of the second wild card yet again because, again, Montreal held on to that second wild card spot. So what we call those pseudo 4-point games.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And you're right. I think fun is a good way to put it. It was fun to watch. It's always fun to watch your team dominate, but especially with the offensive zone presence the Wings had, especially in the first half of the game. I mean, my goodness, pretty much just exclusively played in Montreal zone. It was, really.
Yeah, and I don't think, Scotty, that the domination could not have gotten started any better if it had not been for Dylan Larkin in this hockey game and that top line in general. But Dylan Larkin is absolutely, and we talked about it before the show, obviously, but we have two difference makers, and Dylan Larkin is one of those two difference makers. In his 700th game, he got career points 550 and 551 with a goal and an assist. He made that first goal happen all on his own, right? And it was a beautiful finish by Jonathan Bergeron. I definitely don't want to take anything away from that incredible, quick, and just the pace to that shot as well. It was a wicked release by Bergeron. But Larkin picked that puck up in the defensive zone. He carried it through and then bullied Leighton Hudson in the corner to win the puck battle for possession and fed Bergeron, who was coming off the bench, down low into the offensive zone. And that was captain crap. It was captain shit from Dylan Larkin in this one. He deserves it. So it was fantastic stuff by Dylan Larkin, and of course the power play goal. That was some horrid defense and goaltending.
Why are it's I don't think a good strategy to just hit the deck and that be your defensive move for the play. Just lay down. That was Larkin literally said thank you as he skated past him. I'm not really sure what that was, but
yeah. Drove right past him, and then Montembeault just he had the corner covered, and he still let it in, just squeak right by him.
Swing and a miss.
But we take it. We don't complain. They don't ask how, they ask how many, and that was his 21st goal of the season, team leading. So incredible performance by Dylan Larkin and the top line in general. Scotty, who do you have for difference maker?
Yeah, I think the other obvious group here is the penalty kill, and it's something that we have talked about a lot. I think even if 3 for 3 is a great day, if you want to get even more specific, I think the game was, not to be too dramatic, but was pretty much won on the penalty kill after the failed challenge. Because that is an opportunity late in game where if the Habs convert off of a coach's challenge, right? There wasn't a penalty. The Wings didn't have a stupid penalty or anything like that. It was just a really, really bold coach's challenge. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth later. That I disagreed with, and I didn't think it was going to be overturned. I'll put it that way. And the kill was able to play really, really well and keep it a 2-goal game. If they score there, if Montreal scores there, you're talking about, even despite the domination that the Wings did in this game, a 1-goal game with over 10 minutes left. And that's a completely different outlook on the rest of this hockey game. And they, Montreal has a completely different strategy when it comes to pulling their goalie and when they do that, et cetera, et cetera. So I think all around, obviously 3 for 3, great day. This is a kill that's really struggled all year, but I think that one specifically is kind of the difference maker of the difference makers.
Yeah, and, all the penalty kills were very effective. Absolutely. They did a great job of taking away passing lanes, blocking shots, and clearing the zone when given opportunities. But it was that third one that you were just talking about after the failed coach's challenge, and I think that based on what you hinted at there, we'll probably have similar sentiments on it. That was their best penalty kill. So when they needed the penalty kill the most, it showed up, and it wasn't even that they were taking away passing lanes and clearing the puck when given an opportunity. They weren't letting Montreal have the zone. They were stopping it at the blue line time and time again. And that was the most impressive part. For a team whose power play is brutal, like the Detroit Red Wings, they needed them to come through the most. And you could say, Montreal doesn't have one of the best power plays in the league. That hasn't mattered. In this season, this has not. The reason why the Red Wings' penalty kill is 31st is because of the fact that they allow power play goals against every team, no matter where they're ranked. So I don't care that they're just 18th on the power play. That was incredible stuff by the penalty kill. And like you said, if you don't kill off those penalties, this is a much different outcome to this hockey game. So it was fantastic. They didn't even have a shot on net on that penalty kill, that third one. And, my spin job was that, like, McCullen called a challenge because he wanted to he had confidence in his PK and he wanted to build him up. And that's my spin job on that.
That's great, dude. Good for you.
Thanks.
I don't know. I kind of, it's tough because it was clearly a gutsy call to go for the challenge there. I respect your mindset there of like, I trust my guys, whatever. But
I said it was a spin job, so.
Well, yeah, but it's also one of those things where, like, if he is right, you're talking about the potential of going up 3, right? Like, you're talking about the Wings being in a position where they can really just put the game out of reach right then and there. And yeah, he did trust his guys, and the penalty kill was a big reason for the win, for sure.
100%. We'll head to a quick break, and when we return, we'll talk about notable performers. So stay tuned to segment 2 of Locked On Red Wings. I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, comedy, or so much more. It's been a minute since I've been to a Red Wings game, but I'll be going to one on March 1st, and it cannot get here soon enough. And I wouldn't have been able to go to the Stadium Series game if it were not for Game Time. It was thanks to their Game Time picks that I was able to find a seat that was considered in the top 1% of value. And just by looking at the seats around it, I can attest that the seats I got were much cheaper than the ones by me. So if not for that, and then the all-in pricing feature, which I, of course, toggled on, because why would you not toggle on a feature that's going to show you the price up front? I was able to tell what I was going to be paying without being surprised at checkout. And then, of course, I topped it off by going to checkout and using promo code LOCKEDONNHL, and I got $20 off my first purchase. So do what I did. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for that $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. All right, Scotty, not difference makers, apologies. Notable performers. Who do you got in this game? And I think we'll probably be on the same wavelength here.
Elmer Soderblom.
Yeah.
We were trying to justify making him a difference maker so bad. Like, before we hit record, we were like, how can we spin this for him to be, the biggest difference maker on the team, or somebody more valuable than the other two we had lined up? But we ultimately had to go with what we did. I thought he was fantastic. My favorite part was after Larkin did like the drive-by check at the end of that one play in the third. Elmer just immediately goes up, and Larkin has to hold back Elmer Soderblom. He's, like solid, 6-8 inches shorter, and is like holding him back. He's like patting him on the back. He's like, "Thanks, man. Like, it's okay. I'm good. Like, thank you, whatever." Just awesome. And it is. Obviously, we have seen the flashes on the offensive side, and he had a couple of really nice passes in this game. But I think his value is best defined by one sequence in the third period where he was really aggressive on a forecheck, just has such long arms, and his, like, just because of that, has such a long stick, and is able to drive on the forecheck, drive the whoever the puck handler was, I don't remember who it was on that play, into the corner, poke it away, turn around, and then pass it to a Red Wing crashing to the net. And like, they obviously didn't end up scoring on it, but like, that is the epitome of why you have him. Like, he is just so long and can make so much happen with his length and with his size on the forecheck, that he can create things that really, like, that's an intangible. Like, nobody else can do that just based on how tall they are. So like,
Right.
I think that kind of perfectly encapsulated his value, but he was stellar all over the place, wreaking havoc in front of the net, doing so much on and off the puck, offense and defense. I think this is like the best game of his Red Wings career. If that isn't kind of self-explanatory, I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, and I mean, anytime he's in the vicinity of the puck, he's a constant threat. If not with his body, which he's been using so much more than when the last time we saw him a couple years ago, but with his stick, which goes without saying because he's 6'8" and had to have
Right.
league approval for his stick length because it has to be so long for his body. He's a constant threat to steal control of the puck and maintain control. He's skating hard offensively and defensively to do that, and he's getting to dangerous areas. At one point after the end of the second period, I checked his expected goals for percentage. His expected goals, I should say. He was at .97 expected goals on the game. He finished the game with 1.12 expected goals for. He's been, and that's when he's on the ice. That's not his individual expected goals for. So let me check that real quick. I can check that. His individual expected goals for by the end of the game was .86, which is second only to Dylan Larkin, who had .87, and that's in all situations. So he was dangerous in his limited amount of ice time, getting to high danger areas, making himself available, and he's due, man. He was so due. And I think the thing that stands out the most, the difference between this year and last year, Scotty, or 2 years ago rather, is that before he was a really, really tall guy on skates who had flashes of being a hockey player. Now he looks like a hockey player at all times. He's out there and he's engaged and he's being effective. And it's been 2 games, and I'm sure he's got a lot to prove, so he's skating really hard. But if this is anywhere near the level of consistency we can expect out of Soderblom on a night in, night out basis, there's absolutely no reason why he can't be a part of this franchise and this lineup going forward.
100%, man. Yeah. And like, again, like you said, very small sample size. We'll see how, if this is sustainable, if he is doing this night in, night out, and is doing it consistently. But at the end of the day, in the small sample, the 2-game sample that we've seen this season from him, you are seeing the flashes and you're seeing what it could be. And now it's just a matter of him proving that he can be that on that consistent basis.
Yeah, the consistency is going to be the thing that's the big question mark. But I mean, on the team, Scotty, he was third in Corsi for percentage at 71%. He was fifth in expected goals for percentage at 75%. He was just incredible all night long. Yeah. I mean, the rest of the fourth line was really good too. The top line outside of Larkin, obviously incredible as well. They all topped the charts analytically if you watch the game. Oh, something I didn't mention about Dylan Larkin when I was mentioning him as a difference maker, he had 9 shots in this hockey game, Scotty. He had 9 shots. That's crazy. But Lucas Raymond was awesome too. I mean, that assist he had on Alex DeBrincat's goal. And it's so smart too. They broke it down so beautifully on FanDuel Sports Network. Again, we have some of the best talent in the TV booth in the league. But they were talking about how the first time Raymond got the puck in that area, Raymond shot it wide to the left. So when he got the puck back and he faded towards the middle and he faked the shot, Montembeault bit because he thought he shot last time, he's going to try and shoot for the same spot again. Just for him to go, psych, no look backdoor pass to Alex DeBrincat with a wide open net. So surprising. He tricked everybody on the ice, including DeBrincat, who double pumped the puck and still was able to score. I mean, Raymond and Casper included, all of them were incredible in this hockey game. Raymond and Larkin had an expected goals for percentage of over 90%. Raymond at 95% in this hockey game. So just top line was majestic all game long.
For sure, man. Yeah, also I thought DeBrincat was fantastic. I think the play that impressed me the most was in the first period, actually. Or I guess it might have been started 2, but I think it was the end of the first. DeBrincat draws 2 defenders in on him, starts fading toward the corner, just pops it right over both defenders' stick, goes right to a streaking Vlad Tarasenko. Unfortunately, he can't finish, but a beautiful pass, a beautiful play setup, and that was just one play in a game full of really impressive offensive plays for DeBrincat yet again, and he's been great this year.
You know what's funny is that's actually a perfect segue to talk about Andrew Copp, because it was that sequence
Yeah, he
where
whiffed on the
he
rebound.
whiffed on the rebound,
Yeah.
and we were texting. I even tweeted about it because it was just after we had talked about Andrew Copp's lack of touch, and we talked about how we need to replace him as 2C, and those sentiments don't change. But then shortly after he whiffs, the Red Wings go on their second penalty kill, and
Get it?
Edvinsson blocks a shot,
Get it?
and Andrew Copp shortly after. Very clever, because it was a shorthanded goal by Andrew Copp on the breakaway. And, of course, that time he finished, making me look like an ass, making us all look like asses. But,
it's all right. We'll take it. I'll
it's
take
all right,
that
we'll take
in a Red Wings goal 10 times out of 10, yeah.
Right. So it was nice to see Andrew Copp get on the board. You need more of that. So we celebrate being wrong in this instance.
Absolutely, yeah.
Scotty, let's head to another break. When we return, we'll finish up our notable performers, talk a little bit about the Patrick Kane situation, as well as we got a couple games this weekend. We got one game this weekend. We'll do a brief preview on that. So stay tuned for that on Locked On Red Wings. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. The FanDuel app makes it easy to navigate with a variety of bets to keep the game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings. Whether you're betting on your favorite team or looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs, FanDuel has you covered. And right now, new customers can bet $500 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. My coworker today, Scotty, showed me a parlay. He took the Golden Knights money line and the Red Wings money line on a parlay, and I looked at him and I said, I don't know about those Red Wings, man. They're struggling right now. Montreal's hot. And he's like, they're due. And right now, the Vegas Golden Knights are up 3-1. I should have followed his advice and parlayed the Red Wings money line and Vegas Golden Knights money line on FanDuel. And you can too. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty Bentley. We want to talk about some defensive pairings, why don't we? I thought that in particular, the second pair, the top pair was excellent in tonight's game. Moritz Seider is Moritz Seider. We can talk about the 2 assists. He was great. I was really impressed with the second pair, and notably, again, Albert Johansson. And mostly because his confidence grows and builds every single game. He looks completely different from how he did early in the season when he was a 7th D-man, kind of getting healthy most nights, getting paired up with Gustafsson and Hull or Olimata back when he was with the team. Him with Edvinsson, I don't know if it's just the comfortability playing with somebody that you're familiar with because he played last season, but they talked about it on the broadcast. He had 14 minutes of average time on the ice before McClellan came in, and now he's meeting 14 minutes by the end of the second period, playing big minutes in big moments with the Red Wings, and he looks confident. And of course, not to take anything away from Simon Edvinsson, I think we're just getting kind of accustomed to him being very, very good.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the second pair. I was going to bring up the second pair as well, but I was going to highlight Edvinsson, and I thought he was fantastic. So I think that's a good sign, right? The fact that we both thought that each half of the pair was really good in this game. I thought Edvinsson was stellar. There was a couple of plays specifically that I thought he really showed his hockey IQ. I also think he has really, and this is probably a confidence thing as well with him, is he has zero fear of slowing down the game now. Like he multiple times just took the puck and just held it, had possession. He maintained possession in the wing zone during a line change and just had, no problem sitting there. Wasn't behind the net though, like was around the blue line and, had no fear, had all the confidence to kind of just stand there while Montreal was on the forecheck and pressed. I was really impressed with his overall game and hit a couple of really nice clears as well. And then, I think Aljo's confidence growing is just another part of that. And golly, man, we were begging for new faces on the second pair. And if it ends up being Aljo and Edvinsson the rest of the way, I'm thrilled.
Yeah, we used to pray for nights like these, brother. And you know what's crazy too is this ability. And Sherratt had a great game with Seider. They both had a great game as a top pair. Sherratt we know is kind of hit or miss, but if you can get a legitimate second pair out of Edvinsson and Albert Johansson, and you can split up those deployments, and we are seeing those deployments start to even out between Seider, the top pair, and the second pair. The third pair is still just near the bottom of the league, but you can see them splitting those deployments, making life a little bit easier, giving Seider actually more minutes by result. It'd be a great thing. And then plus when Petrie gets healthy, okay, now you have your second pair, and we can finally put Petrie on the third pair where he belongs and where I believe he will be effective. More effective probably than Justin Holl, who still continues. You know what? It's a positive episode. You guys can infer what I was going to say about Justin Holl. But it gives us the ability and more flexibility to make better pairings. If Albert Johansson can solidify himself on the second pair, and honestly, I don't see right now why not, because he's been playing so consistently with Simon Edvinsson. And you're right, Edvinsson's been great.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
Moritz Seider, 27 minutes and 15 seconds on the ice tonight. He had 2 assists. He had, on 2 shots. He had 2 blocked shots and 3 hits. Moritz Seider is the beast.
Yeah. Did you think it was goalie interference?
Yeah, that's a good question. So no, I don't think here. I have a fence sitter take because
mine's a fence sitter take too. I think whatever the call on the ice was always going to stand no matter which side they called.
Right. I don't think McClellan was wrong, but I think he was wrong to challenge because you're not winning that challenge.
Completely agree. I don't think that's ever a challenge you're going to see overturned, but I do think that if it had been called on the ice, they wouldn't have overturned it the other way either.
Right. Like Rasmussen was clearly given a little bit of a shove into the goaltender, but they called it no goal on the ice. And I didn't see enough of a shove for it to be definitive.
Yeah. And he was already crashing that direction, which made it hard. Yeah.
But like I said, my spin job is he goes, hey, if we win this challenge, we're up by 3 goals. If not, I'm putting the penalty kill in a high leverage situation to prove something. And they did. They were excellent on a penalty kill. So it's the second time in a row he's made what I would call an ill-advised challenge, and it's worked out to their benefit. Last time it was a Bergeron breakaway goal that ended up being the game winner.
Shout out Berger, by the way. We haven't even mentioned. Got the scoring started in this one.
Beautiful shot, wicked release. That's when I said wicked release, and you laughed at me.
Smart. Right after we talked about the third line needing to be shaken up, and Bergeron needing to be kind of that reliable depth scoring option for the Wings, and there you go.
He was excellent.
He was
excellent. Notable other notes. I wouldn't call it notable because I would confuse it with notable performers. But other notes is Patrick Kane is day-to-day with an upper body injury going back to the game against Dallas. So I don't know. Maybe the Red Wings don't need Patrick Kane. I'm just saying. They won 4-2. Tarasenko on the second line. I don't know. Maybe they don't need Patrick Kane. I'm kidding. Of course we need Patrick Kane.
For sure.
But that sucks having Patrick Kane. Most notably, he's for sure a power play merchant at this point in his career. But when he's on the power play, he is lethal. So not having him is a huge point of hurt. We saw the shakeup, right? Tarasenko played on the top power play unit in his place. I didn't think they lost too much of a step, but Kane obviously is a much better passer. You didn't see a step loss
tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like it's just really nice to have a prolific player like that go out and the Wings not lose a step at all. So hopefully they can carry that over into his return and then honestly, be even better.
And I don't mean this like tongue in cheek, but you could argue that with him out of the lineup, they gained a step this game because they were horrible the last 3 with him in, and they were great tonight. Not saying that's the reason, but they were much better, obviously, tonight than they were the last 3. So they definitely gained a step in this game, but I think that has more to do with coaching than anything.
Yeah. It really sounded like there was some extra motivation, too. If you listen to what Copp said in between periods, I think it was the intermission report in between the first and the second period, Trevor Thompson, as Copp was going into the locker room, he was the, Red Wing they interviewed, and it really sound, he was talking about like, we had whatever, like 20 shots on net, and it felt like we only had that total the first 2 times we've played them, and we shouldn't be losing to this team, and we really needed to come out here and win it. Like, it really sounded like that was really driven home, where it was like, you're better than this team and you've lost to them twice. That's kind of unacceptable.
So this was actually pointed out to me recently, and after listening to Andrew Copp a few times, I completely agree. Andrew Copp is the best player to listen to in the locker room. If you want somebody to say something that actually has substance, Andrew Copp, if you ever see Andrew Copp on a media availability, he will tell. He's a straight shooter. He'll tell you. So I actually really appreciate that about Andrew Copp, because God love Dylan Larkin. He's a competitor on the ice. He shows a lot of emotion out there, but oh my goodness, he has been trained to a T on how to not say anything. Right. Which is why right. We got a coach now who will shoot straight, which is nice.
Right, yeah.
Anything else? Game on Saturday, big game against Tampa Bay Lightning. Got to get them back.
Yeah, let's not get crushed this time, eh?
Let's go. If they play like they did tonight, I'm not saying they'll put up 45 shots on the Tampa Bay Lightning, because the Tampa Bay Lightning are a better team than the Canadiens. But if they played like this, like they played like tonight on Saturday, it'll be a competitive hockey game, and they might just win. So
they might just win.
Come with that same mentality, and again, like we said, expectations here on this homestand are 2 or 3. We got 1. Let's get 1 more and have it be against an Atlantic Division rival, and pull yourself even closer to the wild.
Let's get 1 more.
For those who were watching, I put up 1 finger for Montreal. I put up a second finger while I was saying 1 more, and so I had 2 fingers up. But I think that anyone watching on YouTube would understand exactly the logic there. But then when you put 2 fingers up, it made Apple do the balloons react on his screen.
This was my favorite. It never works.
The thumbs down.
The double thumbs down. It's like a thunderstorm rolls through. It's crazy. Look at this.
There you go. Okay, so next time the Red Wings are on a losing streak, you got to do that, and I'll screen cap it, and we can post it. It'll be like mood.
All right, bet. Yeah, bet.
All right. Scotty, any final thoughts?
We ball, baby.
We do ball. We'll be back with a new episode on Monday, recapping hopefully a win against the Tampa Bay Lightning. So stay tuned for that. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.